Hi, welcome to Diamond Delight Edibles. My name is Liz, if this is the first time you stop by, and for everybody else, welcome back, and thank you so much for joining me today. So, what do we have today? Oh, Canna turtle cookies. Check these guys out. Now, what can be better? Turtle and cookie brought together. Oh, two great worlds. Heaven. So, check them all out. I can't tip the plate. So, I'm going to show you how to make these awesome, wonderful cookies. And so let's jump right into those ingredients, the equipment that we're going to need, and let's get baking.
Well, I went and did a total stoner move and deleted the first part of the ingredients. So bear with me for this first little part, and then I'll get back to normal for the rest of the video. I do apologize for any inconvenience. You're going to want 1 cup of all-purpose flour and 1 gram of finely ground herb flour, 1/3 of a cup of cocoa powder, 1/4 cup of granulated sugar, and 1/4 cup of canna sugar. So your sugar can be divided up however you want. If you want to do a full 1/2 cup of canna sugar, giddy up, go right ahead. But as I said, however you want to divide that up is up to you. The same thing with our butter. We need 1/2 cup of butter altogether. I've split mine 1/4 cup of regular butter and 1/4 cup of canna butter. However you want to divide that up, totally up to you. 2 tablespoons of milk, room temperature. 1 egg divided, room temperature. 2 cups of finely chopped pecans or pecans. 1 teaspoon of vanilla. 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and optional, you can add 1 tablespoon of instant coffee. This enhances the chocolate flavor. And we'll now get back to our regular video.
Alright, so for our caramel center, you can either take the easy route and get pre-made caramels that you can just melt down, little craft square ones, or you guys in the States, you're so lucky, so jealous you have those craft caramel bits. I look for them here in Canada. We don't have them. It made me very sad. So, but I'm actually going to show you how to make your own caramel centers if you would like to make those infused as well. So what we're going to use here is 1 cup of sugar. So again, I'm going with 1/2 cup of regular sugar and 1/2 cup of canna sugar. 1/2 cup of heavy cream or whipping cream. 1/4 cup of corn syrup. I'm using light corn syrup. You can use the golden syrup is fine. For those of you who don't like corn syrup, you can use glucose syrup, or you can make your own inverted sugar. We're going to go with 2 tablespoons of canna butter. If you're not using the canna butter, just 2 tablespoons of regular butter. 1/4 cup of water. 1 teaspoon of vanilla, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. That's everything that we need for our caramel. And then as an option, if you want to add a drizzle of chocolate, I recommend going with either the candy melts or chocolate chips. Use the semi-sweet or the dark chocolate. That will help offset the sweetness of the cookie. And that's all the ingredients that we're going to need. Let's get into the equipment and let's make some cookies. Okay, so the equipment that we're going to need is a hand mixer. You can use your stand mixer, but I really wouldn't go through good the big machine for this. Don't really need it. You can also just do it by hand. You're going to want a small pot, a strainer if we're doing the canna flour, 2 to 3 bowls, candy thermometer, a whisk, measuring spoons, or a spoon that has a nice round, nice little round thing that you're going to use to make the indentation in the cookie, wooden spoons or spatulas, and last but not least, our parch-lined cookie sheet or slip mat or baking mat. And that's it for the equipment. Not too much there, which is really nice. So let's jump in and let's make those cookies. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sift my flour here with my flour, and because we want to get those nicely combined together. So I'm going to run this through the strainer a couple of times. And you also want to make sure to grind that really, really super fine. I'm going to run that one more time. And now I'm going to sift in through my other dry ingredients. So I'm going to put through my cocoa, sift that, gets all the lumps out of it. Some flour left in there. Our 1/4 teaspoon of salt. You should never pour your salt over your bowl in case it overflows. You can always add more in. You can't take it out. Let's get our salt in there. And our coffee if you're using that. If you're using a liquid coffee, we're going to add that into our wet ingredient part. So we're now just going to whisk all these ingredients together. And you're just looking for a nice uniform color. Then you know your cocoa and your flour is well mixed together. Okay, on to our wet ingredients. Into our bowl goes our butter. All your wet ingredients should be at room temperature. So your egg and your milk and your butter, all at room temperature. So first we're going to put our butter and our sugar together and get those creamed together. Whoops! Look at me knocking stuff off all over the place. Ooh, electricity would be very helpful. And you want to whip up your egg and your sugar there so it's nice and fluffy. Next goes in we're going to add in our egg. So here we have to separate our egg. Keeping the egg yolk the egg whites we keep for later. So you set those off to the side. And we're going to plop in our egg yolk. Have that nicely creamed together. Going to add in our teaspoon of vanilla. And our 2 tablespoons of room temperature milk. You want to make sure that that milk is at room temperature, otherwise it will re-firm up, re-solidify your butter and make it all kind of chunky. And just scrape down the sides. Now that that's all nicely, in goes our dry ingredients. So, just in we go. Just using a wooden spoon now just because it's firmer than my silicone spatula. So you gently want to get your dry ingredients combined here with our wet ingredients. I just get it started here with the spoon, and then I'm just going to get the mixer involved. Stay. Yeah, don't lift up your blades too high or you'll have cookie dough everywhere. So your dough comes together nicely like so. If it's too dry, add in just like a teaspoon more of milk, but you should be good. So your dough should come together like so. Yum, 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 yum. And okay, once you got like that, just Plop her back in the bowl, put her in the fridge for about a half hour to 45 minutes. We're going to firm that up. You want to put either some plastic wrap or some tin foil over the top. So I'm going to pop that in the fridge for about 45 minutes, and then we'll be back to roll those out and make some caramel. So now it's time to bake our cookies. So at this point you want to preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And we've got our cookie dough out, our chilled cookie dough out of the fridge. Your egg white, you just want to grab a little whisk there and just whisk it up till it just becomes a little bit foamy. And with your pecans, put some onto a plate. I don't recommend that you pour them all on in case you don't need them all. You don't want them covered in egg whites, and you can reuse them. So for our cookie dough, what I found is the tablespoon size seems to work pretty good. So just scoop about a tablespoon size or so. I'm going to roll her into a ball. I'm going to drop her into our egg white. Get her all mixed up there. And I've just got a little dipping tool to make it easy, or you can just use a fork. Then into our pecans, and you want to get them all covered up. You want to slightly push them in to make sure that they stick. Like so. Oh, yummy, yummy, yummy. Then onto your baking tray. Then get your measuring spoon, and the 1/4 teaspoon size seems to work very well. And you just want to gently in the center press that down to make a nice little well. And if your cookie kind of breaks apart, just squish her back together. Just work that well so you've got a nice little well. Like so. I made them with, you know, the scoop size, the cookie scoop size. I think it's like 1 1/8 or something like that. I found those to be too big. This is a very rich cookie, so you want to keep it about that tablespoon size. And again, into my egg white, scoot her around, into the pecan, scoop them all on, squish, squish them all on. Back of my spoon, and just gently press down into that center. And that's it. Keep going until we got all our cookies rolled done. So our cookies are all ready to go here. So see little wells in them. A little close up on that for you. So I'm going to pop these in the oven for 8 to 10 minutes on the middle rack. And you'll know they're done because they're going to go from a shiny to a dull in appearance. And your cookies, they'll just be staying together. All right, so 8 to 10 minutes is usually really good for it. Okay, so our cookies are done. That's 10 minutes. So as soon as you take them out, you want to get your little scoop, your little spoon again, and just push down. Make sure that those wells, this little popped up a little bit. And the cookies will be really soft right now, but it's okay. When they cool down, they will firm up. Blech. And then you can just set them off to the side and let them cool. And we're going to move on to our caramel. So I set on to our caramel now while our cookies are cooling. So for those of you who are going to take the easy route, just unwrap your caramels. Like I said, I'd rather make caramel from scratch than unwrap 44 of those little puppies. But anyhow, you unwrap your caramels or use about 1/2 cup of those caramel bits and just melt that down. For those of you who want to do it the right way, the yummy, yummy way, what we're first going to do is we're going to take our 1/2 cup of our cream and our canna butter or your regular butter, put those together. We're going to put them on, just get those heated up. We just want to bring that to a simmer. Oh, sorry, I forgot, and we also want to add in our salt with our butter and our cream. So a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And I said I'm just going to bring that to a simmer, and we're going to set that off to the side. If you're using regular butter, you can heat this up in the microwave. About 30 seconds should do it for you. But if you're using Canna butter, you're going to want to heat it up on your stovetop. And also with your cream, you also want to make sure to keep it stirring. That way it won't scald and stick to the bottom of your pot. All right, so my cream, butter, and salt have come to simmer here. So I'm just going to remove that, put that off to the side. And then we'll get another small pot. And to this, we are going to add our our 1 cup of sugar. So as I said, I'm doing half regular and half Canna into the pot. Our 1/4 cup of water, 1/4 cup of corn syrup. Whoops! Here I go, dropping things again. Look at that mess everywhere. So you just want to stir those together. Oh, no puppy. No sugar for the puppy. So you want to stir and combine all those together. And once that is, turn your heat on to medium-high. So we're cooking this in 2 stages. There are caramel recipes that do it all in 1 stage. I do find doing the cooking in the 2 stages way better. It gives you a much, much better caramel. So the first part, we're going to heat our sugar up to 280 degrees Fahrenheit. You can heat it anywhere between 260 and 325. What that difference in our base syrup cooking is going to affect our color and our texture to some extent. When we add the cream, it actually brings us way back down under temperature. Then we cook it up to the correct temperature that we need for our caramel. So if you go to like a 300, you're going to end up with a very dark looking caramel. If we take it to the 280, it's going to be that very nice medium color, light to medium. It's always a good idea to wash the sides of the pot down with a pastry brush and some hot water. This will avoid any burning or crystallization. So my syrup is beginning to boil. So at this point, I remove my spoon, and I'm just going to add my candy thermometer, and I'm going to cook this to 280 degrees Fahrenheit. Well, apparently this one's out of battery. Yay! It's a good thing I got a backup. So it's going to take a little while to get there. Yay! We're literally watching a pot boil. And periodically, while it's cooking, if there's any syrup or anything on the sides here, you just want to clean that off. Now, because we did not use a lot of water, it won't take very long to get up to temperature. We're almost at 240. Almost at temperature. $280. So I'm just going to remove this from the heat. I'm going to turn my heat down to now medium-low. And we're going to take our cream and we're going to add in a little bit at a time and stir it in while we're pouring. And it is going to bubble up, and so be very careful. So you can see how it bubbles up here. Woo! So you want to get that stirred in. And each time you add it, it's going to do that every time, so be careful. So now we'll put it back onto our heat, onto medium-low heat, and we're now going to bring this up to 245 degrees Fahrenheit. And doing it on the low heat, the medium-low heat, is going to cook our syrup slower, allowing it to caramelize and get that color. If you do it on the higher, it's going to get to temperature too quickly, and you're going to have a very pale looking caramel. And just an FYI, it will sit at about the 230 spot for quite a long period of time. Don't worry, it will go up in temperature. This is the point where it's cooking off. It's cooking the most amount of the liquid, and as that cooks off, as the water cooks off, the temperature will start to increase rapidly. So it does sit at that 230 mark. Don't worry. So at about 235 Fahrenheit, you'll start to notice your caramel starting to just slightly darken in color, and that color will just slightly darken as it gets up to temperature, giving it more that caramel looking color versus that very pale looking color. All right, so I've hit my 245. I'm going to remove from the heat here, and I'm going to get our cookies. Yum, yum, yum. Okay, our caramel's still bubbling away. So now we're going to add in our teaspoon of vanilla. And give her a gentle stir up. Be careful because she'll bubble up. Like so. Look at that. Doesn't that look so yummy? And get your cookies. And I just use the teaspoon. And just pour it into your little wells. Oh, these look so good. And now you're going to have quite a bit of caramel sauce left over. So let it cool. Put it into So you're going to have quite a bit of caramel sauce left over. It's just very difficult to cook a small amount of caramel sauce. So you kind of cook more, but that's okay. It doesn't have to go to waste. You can either add it on to some of your if you have some extra pecans there, add it on and make it around, put it in the oven about 200 degrees for about 10-15 minutes. Let that caramelize up there. That'll be really yummy. Or what you can do is put it into an airtight container, keep it in your refrigerator, and just heat up the sauce as you need it. All right, so now the last step to these, if you want as an option, as I said, is going to be to drizzle our chocolate onto it. So I just use about quarter half a cup of dark chocolate chips. Pop them in the microwave. I do them in 20-second interval, then 10, and then at 10 seconds each until they are fully melted. You don't want to set it for like a full 40 seconds to begin with, because there's a good chance you can burn your chocolate. Okay, so I'm just going to transfer my little cookies here to a cooling rack and to drizzle chocolate onto them. Get some parchment paper, throw underneath. Catch the drippings. And you get your melted chocolate. Now you can either put it into a piping bag if you like, or just use a spoon and whee. There we go. So then you can just use a spoon and freestyle it. Let the artist out in you. The Andrew Pollock, I think, was the one who made splatter art type things. Let your Andrew Pollock out. Let it splatter. Ooh. Wee. And there. Now you want to let those completely cool for about an hour, 1 to 2 hours, and then enjoy. So here are ones that I made up the other day. Tried it out. So check that out. Caramel pulls apart just like your turtles. And so scrumptious. Rich. Really, really, really good. You definitely want to have a glass of milk with these puppies. So, and check out our yummy, yummy cookies. Yes. Look at those. Yum. So I hope that you give this recipe a try. You will not be disappointed. turtles and cookie. Oh, two great things brought together. So that is all that I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed the recipe, and I do hope that you give it a try. Thank you guys for your love and your support. It absolutely means the world to me. Once again, thanks again for joining. Have an awesome rest of your day.